My name is Bart, Hipple, and I'm the Assistant Director for Communication and Marketing with Dining Service. I've been on campus since 1989, so 20 years. I started as a dining hall manager, and since then I've run a different dining hall, and I ran the delivery service on campus. I ran Adele's restaurant for a couple of years. I ran the convenience stores for several years. I've done many different things on campus. I am now support, which is different than being in operations, and it's required some mental shifting. I've enjoyed that. My job is to support the units in their marketing efforts and in their promotional efforts. So creating these posters, but also creating a general pattern of how we do a special, how we run a year's worth of specials. One thing we've really tried to emphasize is the dining halls, so we've redecorated and refurbished the dining halls. We've worked on getting some special visuals and kind of atmospherics for them. One of the biggest, that we are actually, 7 ladies with a big spoon and a bunch of hairnets. We're a business. We are going to do $50 million worth of business this year. We have a number of very smart people working here, managing this business, making sure we don't waste money, and we have a plan. We have a long-term plan and a very long-term plan and a short-term plan. And the biggest misperception, I think, is that we're not smart people. And that irritates me. But I think that's the biggest misperception. Food sanitation training that we take. We are required to have a food service sanitation certified manager on duty in each operation at all times. So we have about 65 or so food service sanitation certified managers. So they take ServSafe through the National Restaurant Association and then receive certification from Prince George's County. The certification is renewed every 3 years. So every 3 years you have to retake the sanitation class and be recertified. In addition to the managers, supervisors, and coordinators, people who are shift leaders taking that certification, we have at least twice a year sanitation programs for our staff as part of the day-long training session. We do our own, of course. We have daily checklists, weekly checklists, and monthly checklists, and once a semester checklists. We have a closing and an opening for every semester because the buildings are closed down at Christmas and in the summer, so we have to be very careful with that. In addition to that, Prince George's County does 2 different kinds of inspections on this. They do a facilities inspection and they do a HACCP, which is a processes inspection. And it's actually new within the past 2 to 2.5 years. Because we were a state institution, although we were in Prince George's County, we were not required to allow ourselves to be inspected by Prince George's County. As long as I've been here, Dining Services has chosen to follow all the Prince George's County health mandates and requirements. So we've always been ServSafe certified. We've always gotten our certificates from the county, but that's been voluntary. In the last 2 to 2.5 years, the licensing has tightened up and the county has received jurisdiction over the university realm. So it hasn't caused any change in our operation, but that is a change. And one of the changes is that in order to sell food, you have to have even a 1-day permit. So that's done interesting things to the student groups who want to just sell brownies. And I'm not sure exactly what the stricture and restriction is. There are certain things you can sell with no permit. There are things that you have to have a permit to sell. Not to my knowledge. I'm concerned that as soon as I say yes, we have it under control, something awful is going to happen. There are, of course, people get sick. This is a large community and people get sick. In order for it to be a foodborne illness outbreak, it has to be a certain number of people who are identified as being made sick by a certain piece of food within a certain amount of time. In my tenure here, that has not happened. We've had a couple incidents where people have gotten Legionnaire's disease. Summer groups have gotten very sick, but that's been tracked back to food that did not come from the county. And we don't do that tracking, the county does the tracking.
Typically,
foodborne illness takes 12 to 15 hours to present itself. So if you eat dinner and start being sick an hour or so later, it's probably not your dinner, it's probably breakfast or dinner the night before. And that's one of the things that makes it so difficult to track. You know, what we do is every summer we send, last 2 summers anyway, we've sent out a box to freshmen before they come to campus.
Okay.
And in there it says very clearly, keep hot foods hot, keep cold food cold. We're careful to serve you safe food. This is how you keep it safe when you take it home.
Okay.
Safe handling of carry-out meals right here. We offer the option of carry-out in all the locations. We've made sure that you've been served a safe meal. When you take that food out of the dining room, it is your responsibility to keep it safe. Keep hot foods above 140 degrees. Keep cold foods below 40. Don't leave hot or cold food at room temperature longer than 2 hours. Refrigerate food thoroughly and don't store it longer than 2 days. When you reheat the food, make sure it is heated thoroughly.
Okay.
So we do that. That also appears on our website. As part of our Eat Smart campaign, that's one of the messages that we circulate through. One of the problems is that college students have many, many messages coming at them. And as they should, they're focused on academics. So how well that message gets assimilated, I'm not sure. It's one of the posters that we put up cyclically.
Okay.
So it goes up for a week or 2 weeks and then it comes down and we put something else up. Very similar to that, the very similar text to that, because it's the basic text. And what you want to do is say what you need to say in as few words as possible, always with students. But it has different graphics behind it. We have a guy, Dave Raymond, who's in charge of procurement for us. And he has a direct line with the FDA and with the food safety people and with all of our suppliers. As soon as there's an alert or a recall, he has also, his job is tracking everything. He's got all this tracking information. So when there was a peanut butter scare, he was able to look back through all the peanut butter that we bought to see where it came from, when it was manufactured, what the batch lots were, compare that with what was recalled, and determine whether we were safe or not safe. The alfalfa is what's the most current food recall right now. There's salmonella in the alfalfa sprouts. He determined that the alfalfa sprouts we had received was safe. He stopped receiving alfalfa sprouts across campus for the duration of the emergency. But then 2 meal periods later, we decided that the perception was bad, and we just pulled all the alfalfa we had, even though it was safe. So we keep on top of things like that. Our nutritionist, Sister Maureen Shrimp, probably receives more calls than anybody else, but it's not a large number of calls. Yes, spinach was a problem, baby spinach was a problem, and it was baby spinach from California was a problem last school year. It's probably been a year and a half now. We pulled all spinach off of all of our salad bars. Even though we could get regular spinach, the curly spinach leaves, which is not the flat little baby spinach leaves, and they were local and not from California, we said no. We are not going to have spinach on our salad bars until everybody will be very comfortable with that.